But this is sort of our way of approaching any AI ML deployment. And
Okay.
that can cover things from automations to AI implementations to ML stuff across the board. So what we want to start off with always is that ROI canvas. Because again, you want to validate the idea. You want to validate that this idea that you're presenting or wanting to present is actually going to generate revenue, that it's actually going to be there for the purpose of what you set out to achieve from a revenue making perspective. Because what we're saying is there shouldn't be automations and AI involved if it's not generating you some type of revenue. So we're very, very strict on that front for us specifically. So you'll see here the core focus of that particular canvas is from an economic and viability and scalability point of view. And the sections that will be included in that is going to look at things like revenue metrics, baseline costs, smoke testing, tooling ROI, and then a sort of a go, no-go criteria. And that's everything that you'll set up on that canvas specifically. Then you can move on to other canvases like an AI strategy canvas, which is also very important for the start. And the core focus there is going to be the value prop and the strategy surrounding a particular AI solution. So very similar to the ROI validation canvas, you're going to look at the problem, you're going to look at the value proposition, the data sources, and a human in the loop. So what, from that perspective, is going to need to be taken into consideration. Um, then from an ethics and responsibility point of view, and this is something that's also always, overlooked or sometimes forgotten, is you have to ensure that there's a focus on safety and bias. So you're going to look at topics like transparency, bias mitigation, accountability, and then individual rights, for example. Um, After that particular canvas, you'll move into the governance and compliance space and looking at compliance and risks. So there you'll clearly define the roles and responsibilities of a particular solution. You'll ensure audit trails. What is that going to look like? What it's going to be? You're going to look at the security and then regulatory alignment to ensure that whatever you're building from an AI perspective is actually going to align with any regulation. From an ML ops and infrastructure canvas point of view, you're going to look at the infrastructure specifically. So what does the CI/CD pipelines look like, the monitor or model monitoring, the serving, feature stores, so on and so forth. From a machine learning point of view, you'll look at the technical modeling, so task classification versus reg, features, offline versus online evaluation. So there's a whole extra step there that you're going to look from a technical point of view. And then lastly, we have something called the Agentic AI Technical Implementation Canvas. So here we're going to look at the autonomy and the tooling that's going to be used for the actual implementation. So here we're going to define the goals, the available tools that we have versus what we need. We're going to look at memory, reasoning loops, so on and so forth. So hopefully during that whole sort of just overview of all of these canvases, you'll notice that some of these are actually connected in some sense or way, because some things are covered in certain canvases that relate to others. So we want to take customers through that flow and through that thinking to ensure that you're not just investing in a solution that's not thought out properly. I mean, you don't just buy a house or a car without making the necessary budgeting sort of sheet, looking at your expenses versus, everything else. So it's very important that you go through these metrics. And I think this also shows our customers that we're not just implementing because they're asking us to implement. We want them to, look at this from every single angle possible. because this then directly translates to a successful digital transformation. And that's something that we're very passionate and very set on, that we want to ensure that successful digital transformation. And it does take time to get to that, but you have to have the right frameworks and canvases and everything in place in order to actually get to that tick or success at the end of the project.